honor than being brought to the stage by Congresswoman McBride? No, there isn't. And I just want to say to you, I am in awe of your courage, your tenacity, your extraordinary grace under pressure, and I now know your sense of humor. Really, Congresswoman McBride, you are a rare, rare gem.
Thank you.
And we thank Delaware for sending Delaware's best.
Oh, go Delaware!
Yes.
Thank you.
I am so ecstatic about being here. I don't know when I've attended an event where I felt so buoyed up and so inspired, and felt that I was sharing joy with so many people. I am here I'm here for a lot of reasons, but one is to moderate a discussion between two exceptional people. Senator Tammy Baldwin is the first openly LGBTQ candidate elected to the US Senate. Senator Baldwin is now serving her third term, and Evan Lowe, as you know, the CEO and president of the Victory Fund. They will be joining me on stage right now. Please welcome Senator Baldwin and Evan Lowe. I'm going to go a bit off of where we were going to begin, if you don't mind, Senator Baldwin, because I need to ask you if there's an update on that horrible occurrence that you rebuked on Friday with the judge in Wisconsin.
Yes. Well, the thing that we are seeing from this Trump administration is efforts to undermine our very democracy. And there's elements of that we have to be vigilant about, including attacks on a co-equal branch of government, the courts. And what happened, for those of you who didn't follow it in Wisconsin on Friday, is Friday morning, a Milwaukee County judge was arrested and handcuffed and brought over to the federal courthouse to be charged. And you don't do that if the person doesn't pose what's called a flight risk. I'm an attorney, so I think about these things. This was clearly intended to have a chilling effect on judges, on the judiciary, and people who rule in ways that displease Donald Trump.
Yes.
And that cannot stand.
No, it was outrageous.
That cannot stand.
Thank you. Well, speaking of things that cannot stand, during your re-election campaign in 2024, your opponent was absolutely egregiously using your LGBTQ credentials against you. And how were you able to navigate that? I think all of us would like to know that, because you did that with great grace and tenacity and courage.
Well, I appreciate that. And it was unlike any campaign that I've been through. This, you mentioned, is my now third term serving in the United States Senate. So I've run run statewide 3 times, and it's never been like this before. Okay, so a little bit of advice for all of you candidates and aspiring candidates that helped me get through it, because you actually, the tactics here are important. Never watch television during your campaign. You need to know what they're saying, so look at it on your iPhone once, and then you know what they're saying and move on, right? And never read the comments posted to any of your social media posts, right? If you want to maintain, you have to know what they're saying, but you don't have to marinate in it. So that's my tactical advice for candidates who will be on the ballot. But, I worried so much, not just for myself, but what does this say to young people, to people in the LGBTQ community, that they were weaponizing our community as part of an electoral campaign? And I worry about the most vulnerable in Wisconsin who did turn on their TVs and did see on social media the onslaught of negative advertising and weaponizing of our community. And it's a very, very difficult time.
Indeed it is.
But we are gathered here today to draw energy from each other. The Victory Fund is here in part to support candidates like me, who get it. You get it. And the support that you provided me in this campaign and all the ones before is it's just immeasurable. It's so vital. We get it, right? And we have each other's backs.
Thank goodness.
Right? And I think Wisconsinites rejected those politics of hate that they saw throughout the state in this last election. And by the way, we did win. Narrowly, but we won.
That's wonderful. Eben, you have won and managed and held many offices. And what is your take on the current state of affairs?
Well, not to downplay that, Senator Baldwin, you won in a state that went pro-Trump.
Right.
Yes.
You won re-election, and the state went Trump, and you won. In spite of that, because of the Courage River convictions and the kitchen table issues that you are addressing, which is a good role model of the work that we do, that we care about all of these issues that are most important to everyday Americans. But let's also be reminded about, again, I talked about the shoulders that we stand on, about where we have been. When I was talking to Neil, our board member, about what the white party signifies today. But that was a movement to remember the angels who lost their lives during the AIDS and HIV crisis, and to be reminded today what our community is all about, and that history repeats itself, but we stand on shoulders, and then acknowledging that in our LGBT bars, to be carted by police officers, that was a history, a dark day in our history. But again, history is repeating itself, legislating us out of existence. And so while we may look at a Senator Baldwin with distinction, the fact of the matter is that this work is very difficult. But that's what we do here at the LGBTQ plus Victory Fund, and making sure that we are a large family together and networked, and making sure that we reaffirm our commitment to our movement.
If this isn't too broad a question, what do each of you see the next year presenting?
Well, as somebody who is serving in the United States Congress and the Senate, I see and I draw hope from the fact that the resistance is percolating right now. The senior advisors to Donald Trump, the Steves, Steve Bannon, Steve Miller, the Steves, they said, we're going to flood the zone. And we're seeing that. We're seeing 10 things happen every day. We're seeing things happen on Friday nights and over the weekend. And I think you have to organize a resistance in the face of that. And I see that coming. I tell my staff all the time, I started this year out as a grumpy warrior. And then I became a purposeful warrior, and I am trying to become a joyful warrior. We're getting there. But I see that taking shape, taking place, and it is vital that we respond effectively. Congresswoman McBride talked about their agenda, and it's very harmful to the most vulnerable.
Definitely.
And so we've got to have an effective resistance to the most horrible things that they're planning on doing. And that's what we're building.
Well, that's very encouraging. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Well, similarly, I also want to acknowledge your presence here today, Tim, in which not a politician, but when invited to be part of the conversation about how we're answering this moment in time, you've stepped up as well, too. And so that's a recognition and a reflection of what we need to do to get outside of politics. Politics often is seen as a dirty word, or we turn off. The times require us to meet this moment in time now, to transcend party affiliation, to transcend sectors. This is about our humanity and our existence. And so utilizing your bully pulpit and your visibility, we welcome you and hope that we can join in that effort as well.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and we all need to stand together. They want to divide and conquer, but we won't let that happen by any means. What can all of us do you think? I mean, what's really achievable in terms of helping push back against this and help something powerful and positive rise?
You know, I think that sharing our stories is one of the most powerful things that we can do. In my office, we look at collecting the stories of Wisconsinites who have been harmed by actions of this administration. And then I get a bully pulpit as a senator. I get to take to the floor and share those stories, amplify those stories. My State of the Union guest this year was a woman named Renee from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with stage 4 breast cancer. She was diagnosed with breast cancer through a program funded by Medicaid, and her treatment for her cancer is provided by Medicaid. And her story, and to make sure that people heard her story, we cannot let Medicaid be snatched away. And so,
We can't.
right? So sharing her story and so many like that. So I would start by sharing your story and providing those to your elected representatives, the ones in this room, but the ones who represent you. And each of us have a powerful story. We can talk about the statistics. We can talk about the 72 million Americans on Medicaid. But Renee's story is powerful.
Absolutely.
And then I think just finding your voice in resisting in whatever way works for you. There were rallies across the country, hands-off rallies, right? Hands off Medicaid, hands off the U.S. Postal Service, hands off food stamps, hands off. Those are very effective ways to help participate, help organize.
Yes, very, very
And you
effective.
feel good after you've done it, too.
Well, it's like being here. I feel better
Yeah.
today than I did yesterday. Yes. Evan, your thoughts about this?
Well, I know that this conversation is about the moment, but it's also about allyship. There are countless allies in this room today. And again, on behalf of the LGBTQ Victory Fund, we thank you very much for your solidarity and allyship. We could not do this without you. It's incredibly important. And we think about the work of the Victory Fund, the ecosystem. It's also about domestic, but also international. We have a number of high-ranking foreign service officers and former that are in this room as well. I know I saw a dear friend, Ambassador Tai, who is also an ally in this room. And so it is about allyship in this period of time and how we can work in partnership with our dear friends like Emily's List and SCIU, who are also, their leaders are also in this room. So it's about those coalitions, but also at the local level. I see Eric Botcher of the New York City Council, and again, Chris Ward from California. Everywhere in between, we're doing this together.
We are doing it together, most definitely. Do you have anything that you'd like to add, Senator Baldwin?
Know your power.
Yeah.
Know your power. We all have power. And use it.
Senator Baldwin, Evan, thank you both so very, very much, and onward and upward.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Tim.
you.
Tim Gunn, everyone, thank you very much. And Senator Tammy Baldwin.